Hello everyone and welcome back to All Time Scary, where we delve into the strange, the mysterious, and the scariest parts of our world. In today's video, I'm going to break down 4 brand new Mandela effects. If you're unfamiliar, here's the definition to get you up to speed. One last thing before we get started. A major detail of the Mandela effect is that it affects everyone differently. Of these 4 examples, you might agree with all of them. You might disagree with all of them, or a mixture of both. This doesn't necessarily prove or disprove anything, but it's fascinating to explore. I hope the comment section below is filled with conversation from both sides. So without further ado, let's get into this. Number 1. What killed the dodo bird? Or to phrase it better, what made the dodo bird go extinct? From what I had always understood was that these dodo birds were hunted to extinction by humans. They were big and easy prey. The dodos had never interacted with humans before, so they were very friendly and unafraid. Adding to that was that they were incredibly tasty, big, fat, delicious birds. These led to settlers hunting and eating them to extinction by 1681. Yeah, but that's not the case anymore. It turns out that humans did not hunt them to extinction at all. And their meat was terrible to eat. What the explanation is now is that rats, pigs, and monkeys ate the dodo bird's eggs and competed with them for food, leading to them going extinct. This goes against everything I had always learned and I had always thought. Digging into more research, this is just the common assumption now, this is the common belief. So I feel kind of left out. I thought humans ate them all and they were delicious, but there we go. Turns out that's never been the case. So what do you think? Has this always been a case of rats, pigs, and monkeys eating dodo eggs and leading them to extinction? Or is this a Mandela effect for you? Because I remember in one way. What about you? Leave a comment below. Number 2. What is the highest point on Earth? I'm going to give you a second to think about this. The highest point on Earth. I remember it being Mount Everest. Not anymore. It turns out that's not the case anymore. The standard measurement for these mountains is height above sea level, but there's an issue with that. It assumes that the Earth is a perfectly round sphere, which it is not. Gravity and the Earth's rotation make it appear as though it's smushed down in certain parts. This creates a bulge in places such as the sea. So the sea level is a different height at the poles compared to the equator by about 13 miles. All this to say, there is an alternative to measuring heights. Instead, we measure the distance from the center of the Earth. Using this math, Mount Chimborazo in Ecuador is the farthest point on the Earth's surface from the Earth's center because of its location along the equatorial bulge. But it gets worse. Mount Everest isn't even the second highest point. At just 131 feet lower than Chimborazo in Ecuador is the Huascarán mountain in Peru, which makes it the second highest place using the same center of the Earth measuring system. All this to say, Mount Everest is now number 3 instead of number 1. And there are even more complications. Another way of measuring the highest point is to just go from the bottom to the top of the mountain. When you do this, you're ignoring sea level, which brings us to Mauna Kea in Hawaii, which is the tallest mountain on Earth by far, even though most of it is submerged. So what do you think about this? Was Mount Everest always the 3rd highest point on the Earth? Or is this a Mandela effect? Has the science of measurement simply changed without us noticing? Or is this different than you remember? Let me know in the comments below. Number 3. Remember the Salem witch trials? Tell me, how were the witches executed? Was it being drowned? Or was it burnt at the stake? What do you remember? Most seem to remember them being drowned or being burnt at the stake. Not anymore. Now history tells us that it was neither of those, that they were actually hung. In 1692, the suspicion of witchcraft had run rampant in America and reached a fever pitch in Salem, Massachusetts. A group of young women claimed that others were practicing witchcraft, and so began the infamous Salem witch trials. By the time the trials had come to an end, over 150 men, women, and children had been accused, and 19 were executed. How were they executed? Again, most of us remember the witches being drowned or being burnt at the stake, but it turns out that wasn't the case. All of the Salem witches were hung, apart from one male, who died after being pressed under stones for refusing to confess. Ah, religious prosecution. So tell me what you think. I had always believed that they were burnt alive, but that seemingly never happened in America. Is this a Mandela effect for you too? Again, let me know in the comments below. Number 4. When the Library of Alexandria was burnt down, how many books were lost? Everything? Almost everything? Tell me what you think. Well, it turns out it didn't burn down at all. In fact, it survived for hundreds of years afterwards until its eventual decline. The Library of Alexandria was an incredible idea, to preserve a copy of every book in the world in one place. That was the vision of the rulers of Alexandria 2,300 years ago. They built this massive library to house all of humanity's collective knowledge, and it attracted scholars the world over to study and contribute. In 48 BC, Julius Caesar attacked Alexandria during the Roman War with the Greeks and burnt up all of the ships in the harbor. The assumption was that this fire spread and that the Library of Alexandria was either burnt up or partially burnt up. Well, now the story goes that it never caught fire and none of the scrolls actually burnt up. It's confusing to me. This goes against everything that I had ever learned, but what can you do? What's interesting to me is that for all 4 of these Mandela effects, there's evidence to the contrary, where people have believed the alternate theory. Well, what we considered the real theory that is now the alternate theory. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video and that it got your mind going. History, statistics, logos, lyrics, artwork, everything is seemingly changing around us. Is this a massive and widespread series of misremembering the past? Or is the Mandela effect a legitimate concern? I'll let you decide.